Hello and welcome back to the Mindset Project podcast. My name is Lewis Conde and my aim is to give you the tools to develop and improve your mindset. By drawing on my own experiences as a competitive swimmer, as well as the opinions and experiences of other incredible individuals, I hope to expose you to an alternative way of thinking. And in doing so, I hope that inspires some sort of personal growth. I believe that through mindset development, we can strive physically, mentally and emotionally. I hope you're all doing well, staying positive and staying healthy. So let's get on to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindset Project podcast. This episode this week will sort of touch on a little bit of what we discussed on the previous episode, and that is being selfish. So as a quick reminder, or for those who didn't listen to the previous episode, we discussed the idea that the world does revolve around you, or at least on the individual level. Now, if I had said that the world revolves around me, I would probably get a lot of funny looks and people would probably assume that I am being extremely selfish, because that phrase is often associated or tied with the feeling of being selfish or someone being selfish. But selfish is not a bad thing, and it is something I will stand by. And I think we should probably start off by saying that everything is a sort of spectrum, so being selfish is no different. You know, if you're selfish in the sense that you are very inward looking and no one actually matters other than you, I would say that level of selfishness is not nice and it's not a good level of selfishness. But overall, being selfish is not a bad thing, because you can get a level of selfishness where you're actually putting yourself first in order to be able to help other people. So this level of selfishness is essentially almost like you're being selfish in order to be selfless. So again, obviously the aim of this podcast is sort of change your perspective, change your mindset around things, and this is what I really want to do in this episode, is really change your perspective around the idea of being selfish, because it is often seen as this sort of negative trait that people may have. But hopefully in this episode I can sort of break that down and show you that, you know, it's not actually that bad. Now, the reason I think selfishness is not a bad thing is because at one point in my swimming career, now this was probably quite early on, I had this awful coach who basically said not very nice things to me. Now, I have realised during this episode that I haven't actually shared my journey in swimming yet, and for the reason that it just doesn't feel the right time to do so. And I think this is because I'm very much still in the middle of my journey in the sport, and it just doesn't really make sense to do it because my journey hasn't completed yet. And obviously at some point in the future it will come, and any sort of episodes I do in the future, there will probably be bits that I use and talk about, because at the end of the day my mindset has came from everything that I've done in swimming. You know, I have a very positive, I guess, mindset, and would not have been developed if it wasn't for swimming. So back to what I was saying about this old coach I had. So for context, I was moving to another squad, which meant that I was going to get another coach, and the coach I had was great. She understood me. She was just one of those coaches that, you know, you had this really good relationship, and it's one of these really rare things to get in sport, a coach that you really get on with. So I had this sort of trial period in this new squad, and I didn't like it straight away. My gut had told me no, like it just didn't feel that environment would have helped me improve, and it didn't. Now for me, this coach / squad wasn't that great, and I knew that straight away, as like I always say, like your gut never lies. Like if you have a gut instinct, you have to listen to it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to act upon that, but just listen to your gut, because your gut knows these stuff. I don't know how, if there's sort of science behind it, but yeah, your gut just never lies. So I came back to my club, and I obviously told my coach this, and I was at a point where she couldn't really do anything for me, which I completely understood, and it was just one of those like points in time. But one thing that she did say was, you have to be selfish, you have to put yourself first and do what is best for you. And by God, was she right, because by putting yourself first, that is being selfish. Now, there will be people who think being selfish and practicing self-care are two different things. If self-care for you means that you need to have a night in and cancel plans where you were a fundamental part of, say if you were the one driving to somewhere or you were the one that was sort of arranging things, then that is selfish, but it's for your self-care, and that is really, really important. And as we discussed in the previous episode, practicing self-care is being selfish. At least I think it is. And we seem to be in this social media age of promoting self-care. It's all over Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, anything basically. But what is self-care? Self-care is taking care of yourself so that you can promote your own physical health, your mental health, you can do your job properly and in many ways more efficiently. And it's also about being able to help others. Because if you're not in a good place yourself, how on earth can you actually help others? Because let's be real, you probably won't be able to help other people as efficiently if you yourself are not in a good place. Now this sort of goes back to what we discussed in the previous episode. If you do not fill up your own cup up first, then you can kiss goodbye to helping other people, because if you have an empty cup, then you cannot fill up anyone else's cup, at least not as much as you might like. You just can't. And for anyone who missed the last analogy, I will quickly repeat it. So imagine that you have two cups. One cup is yours and it is half full, and the other cup is someone close to you who is needing your help, be it a friend, family member, work colleague, etc. Now, if you use up half of your liquid and put it into your friend's cup, then you will both have a quarter each. That's alright, but could it be better? If, however, you filled up your own cup up first from half to full, you could then give half of your cup to your friend, and now you both have a half each. That is so much better than a quarter, right? And what the water represents is self-care practices, so your things like meditation, journaling, protecting your energy, taking time for you, cancelling plans maybe. And when you start to do all these things, your cup fills up, or in other words, you get healthier, you get more energy, and you're in a far better place to help other people. So in essence, when you practice self-care or, be selfish, you can actually be selfless because you actually have more energy and you have more health to help others. And this is why I think being selfish is not a bad thing. And I guess it is probably just down to how you look at things, so changing your perspective, which is, like I said at the start, the aim of this podcast. And, when I say you have more energy, you have more health, it really depends on how you help another individual. Like, if you have to help them and it's going to require a lot of your energy, whether that's mental, spiritual, physical energy, then you obviously want to have as much energy as you possibly can in order to be able to accommodate that person. So, touching on what my coach had said to me, like, you have to be selfish, do what is best for you, not other people. This is another example of selfish being a good thing. How many of you listening right now have goals, dreams, and aspirations? Many of you, I would expect. Here's another question. Are you willing to put yourself first in order to achieve these goals and dreams? Because at the end of the day, they are your goals and dreams. If you worry what other people think or what other people say, then you will probably do things to accommodate them, and you might actually not be able to achieve your goals because you're putting other people first before your own goals. And you only have one life, so get fucking out there and do what you want to do and what you are passionate about. And if that upsets people or makes other people uncomfortable, then fuck them, because you know what? Doing what you want to do and what you're passionate about will attract all the right people into your life who support the decisions that you make, and you'll also attract all the right circumstances in order to achieve what you want. Your people are the people who support you regardless of what you do in this life. So take back control of your life by doing what you want to do. And if you want something in life, then there's absolutely no option but to be selfish, because only you can see that vision. No one else can. That vision is unique to you, and no one else is really going to see the exact vision. You might be able to persuade people to that vision or convince them, but only you can see it. And you have to start making the best decisions for you to get what you want and, to achieve that end goal. So stop making decisions to please other people, because this will end up making you feel absolutely shit, and you may actually end up regretting doing that, because if you can't achieve it, then that's going to make you feel absolutely awful. And quickly to add to this, being selfish actually increases our accountability, because you are in full control of the decisions that you make, and your thoughts and feelings aren't dictated by some past experience or situation. You are taking full control of the very present moment. You're taking control of every decision that you make, and you're accepting every decision you make, regardless if it's a good one or a bad one, or the consequences. And this increased accountability actually can lead to increased success. Now, if you are starting to wonder, can you be selfish and in a healthy relationship? Of course you can. Now, I actually think in a healthy relationship, it's actually important that both parties can have their own time, because sometimes being together 24/7 can have negative effects on the relationship. So being selfish in a relationship, in my opinion, can create healthier relationships. And like I said at the start, it's all about finding the balance. You don't want to go to one extreme of being so selfish that you forget about your partner, or the other end of the spectrum of doing absolutely everything for your partner and completely forgetting about you. Because at the end of the day, you're a human being as well. You have feelings, you have needs, and they have to be accommodated for both people in the relationship. And for me personally, I want a relationship where my girlfriend would be doing the things that she loves. I would want her to do her own thing, because I want her to be happy, and by doing that and seeing her happy would actually make me happy. And just to clarify, if anyone is wondering, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm completely single at the minute. But back to the main point, if I was preventing my partner from doing things that make her happy, then I don't think that would really have a positive impact on me, because at the end of the day, I want both of us to be happy for the sake of the relationship, if that makes sense. So I definitely think, sometimes it's actually quite good that you do separate things, especially when you might be extremely compatible, but say for instance your passion is something that your partner absolutely does not like, then that's not really going to be healthy if you're forcing them to do that sort of thing. Which is why I think doing your own thing, it can be a good thing. And I'm going to say this again and again and again, it's all about balance, right? You don't really want to go to one extreme, but try and work out something that both parties can agree on. And the next thing I will talk about is being selfish also allows us to actually better understand ourselves. And this is actually massive, because if you're constantly trying to please other people or do things for other people, then you can actually sometimes lose yourself in that process, because you're giving so much of yourself to other people. And at the end of the day, you are a human being too, and like I said, not that long ago, you have needs and wants which are also very valid. And if you're sort of neglecting them by doing things for others, it can start to have a detrimental impact on your health, because you're not nurturing those. And I guess if you think about it, it gives you space to check in on yourself as well, because you aren't directing your attention to other people but giving yourself the attention. And I think this is another reason why self-care often involves meditation or doing things in your own time, because it gives you the time to sort of check in on yourself, work on yourself. And along these lines, taking time to check in on yourself also gives you time to do things that you love, which is good for understanding ourselves and our mental health. I also guess, in a sense, being selfish also has links to spirituality in many ways, because for me, spirituality is about understanding ourselves on the deepest levels, and we can't really do that without taking time for ourselves, if that makes sense. Because think about it, if you're constantly helping other people or constantly giving yourself to other people, then you're not going to really have the time to check in with yourself, check in with your thoughts, seeing if you're doing okay. So I definitely think there's some link between spirituality and selfishness. So to finish up, being selfish is not a bad thing at all, even when it might get associated with negative connotations, because being selfish ultimately allows us to check in with ourselves, and by doing that we can understand what we love doing, what we value, and I guess understand ourselves on a more deeper level. We not only improve our relationship with ourselves, but we can also improve our relationship with others. And by being selfish, we can fill up our own cup first before helping others, which allows us to actually be able to help other people in the first place. And remember, you have to start doing things that are best for you and what you're passionate about, because we only have this one life. Would you want to live the rest of your life from this moment on by losing yourself by helping others? Or would you want to follow what you want and what makes you feel fulfilled? Because that choice is yours. And I guess that will conclude our episode this week on being selfish and selfishness, I guess. So with that, stay positive, stay safe, and I shall see you on the next one.